All right, little Anna Ashley's Heartstring. I'm sorry, I have some fans going on in here. It gets hot in the booth occasionally. Anyways, this is Dads of Stillwater, Book 4, Anna Ashley. I love Anna Ashley so much. This scene is, they're musicians, the MCs, and they're meeting in the high school band room. I hope you guys enjoy this so much. I think I'm going to record one of their songs that little Anna Ashley wrote for this on an acoustic and put it in here later. But for now, what you get is a behind-the-scenes look. Now understand that there are mistakes. My lovely assistant Tracy is jumping in and correcting me here and there. You'll hear him. Plus, I'm streaming to Discord and such too, so you're going to see me talking to people. You'll get the gist. Enjoy how the sausage is being made. I'll be grounded for 2 months at least. If my mom finds out, I'll be grounded for 2 months at least. Sorry, I lost my place. If my mom finds out, I'll be grounded for 2 months at least. The music stops, so I turn to leave, but something about the playing makes me stay. Without thinking, my hand is on the door handle, and I slowly open the door. My entrance isn't all that stealthy because my backpack gets stuck on the door handle as I walk in and the old zipper gives way. My school books all fall to the floor with a loud thud. Shit. I grab the books quickly and put them back in the backpack. The zipper isn't broken, at least. I'd never convince my mother to buy me an equal replacement for this backpack, and there's no way I'm walking around the school with a monogrammed leather messenger bag. No fucking way. When I look up, I'm surprised to see a kid my age at the piano. Can I help you? Young Harrison Ford. I look up. I'm surprised to see a kid my age at the piano. Can I help you? He asks. He has brown eyes and brown hair and a sharp jaw with an almost dimple on his chin. My belly does a funny flip. Hi, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop you or interrupt. Are you here for the music club? I open my mouth to say no, but his hopeful gaze makes my head nod before I think too much about it. His smile goes wider, and I notice his 2 front teeth are slightly longer than the rest. It makes him look kind of, I don't know, funny. But nice funny. I like it. I'm Tyler Shaw, he says, getting up. What instrument do you play? Guitar, I blurt out. And the piano, but definitely not as good as you. His face goes a little pink and he looks down. I'm not that good. Dude, you're definitely good. Where did you learn? My foster dad taught me. He was a musician before he got me, he says. Nice. We stare at each other for a while. I don't know what else to say. So, do you? He asks at the same time I say, do you? We both laugh, and I tell him to go first. Do you? We both laugh, and I tell him to go first. Are you really joining the music club? Mrs. Roberts says this year we need more people because the drama club is going to do a musical. Mrs. Roberts? The math teacher? He nods. Yeah, she runs the music club too. Okay, yeah, I guess I can join. Cool. Welcome then. Do you want to play together? I think there's a guitar in the storage room, he says. Well, I was actually going home now to swim in the pool. Since we moved to Port Haven, a small town at the foothills of the St. Gabriel Mountains just outside of L.A. last spring, I'm determined to make the best of the good weather. Gabriel or Gabrielle? Gabriel, I think.
Yes, Gabriel.
Out of L.A. last spring, I'm determined to make the best of the good weather. No way I'd be swimming in the pool in September in Minnesota. Just the thought gives me shivers. Tyler nods, but looks a little disappointed. Do you want to come? I ask. I'm not sure. You're not sure you want to come? He smiles. I'm not sure I should. I don't know why, but suddenly I need to convince him to come and swim with me, to have some fun. Come on, it'll be fun. Besides, we have a grand piano. I bet you'd love to try it. His face lights up with the suggestion, and I'm happy I've won him over. Score. He grabs his backpack, stuffs some sheet music inside, and closes the lid on the piano. What's your name, by the way? Mick. Mick Nilsson. Nilsson.
You're doing good.
I've had some practice being a 12-year-old boy. Recently.
You're at least very intimately familiar with their brain processes.
Brain, yeah. Let's call it that. I used to have a friend that called fellatio, brains. So, I gave him brains. I always thought that was unique.
He had a zombie fetish, didn't he?
I think it did make him smarter, probably. All right. Two. Tyler. Now. I'll never know what comes first. The overwhelming smell of burned food or the sudden darkness outside. 1 minute it's daylight and the next, I can't see through to the end of my small yard. Is it a sign of my age or the state of my life that I find myself spacing out and lost in thought more often? I've never even been that much of an introspective person. That I find myself spacing out and lost in thought more often. I've never even been that much of an introspective person, or forgetful for that matter. The doorbell rings as I hopelessly try to rescue what should be my dinner, but unless charred vegetables become the new health fad, I think I'm better off ordering in. Serves you right. Next time, pay attention to what you're doing, I mutter, setting the pan in the sink to get the door. I don't usually get visitors, so this is probably someone asking for directions. When I moved into this place, I thought I was lucky to have so much yard space. In good weather, sitting outside with a beer and looking at the stars is nice. The realtor conveniently forgot to mention that whenever there's a major event in town, I practically have to stand outside with a sign directing cars, unless I want to have people knocking on my door 100 times a day. Unless I want to have people knocking on my door 100 times a day. The doorbell rings again. Unless I want to have people knocking on my door 100 times a day. The doorbell rings again. I want to shout something I shouldn't, but when people are lost, they get testy. And I know all about feeling testy. So I bite my tongue and get the door. Dude, did you know there's only one way into this town, but there are 2 ways out? I stare at my brother-in-law, hoping maybe we have a voice for him already. Seymour. Nope. Feed me. Let's do Seymour. Seymour. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act as a prism and form a rainbow. I mean, he can't be a manly man with a name like Seymour, right? You're at Seymour Base? Well, how's that worked out for you? About feeling testy, so I bite my tongue and get the door. Dude, did you know there's only one way into this town, but there are 2 ways out? I stare at my brother-in-law. His smile is warm and patient. He knows it always takes me that tiny breath of a moment to gather myself when he's in front of me. Not to mention, he has always had the best, and I really mean the worst, timing. Seymour, what are you doing here? I was in the area, and you know I miss you. Seymour, what are you doing here? Oh, I was in the area, and I know you miss me a lot. He shrugs past me like he's familiar with my house, even though he's never visited once in the 4 years I've lived here. I close the door behind us and follow him to the kitchen, where he's transferring a 6-pack of beer from a duffel bag into my mostly empty fridge. I really must go to the grocery shopper. 6-pack of beer from a duffel bag into my mostly empty fridge. I really must go grocery shopping. Dude, what's that smell? I ignore his question since the answer is in the sink, still slightly smoking. I don't recall you mentioning a visit. He shrugs. I raise a brow. Have you moved? No way I'll admit I've missed the man who's the closest thing to a brother I'll ever have. No, he says, looking at the darkened, soggy vegetables stuck to the bottom of my pan. Do you have any business in Connecticut? Nope. I hope this isn't your dinner. It doesn't look very good. I lean against the counter, crossing my arms. So you don't have business in the area and you haven't moved. How were you so conveniently nearby? He starts opening all the drawers in my kitchen. You won't find the answer to my question in there, I say. Where are your takeout menus? I laugh and he stares at me. What's funny? You think this town is big enough that I need a dedicated drawer for takeout menus? He gasps. You can't get takeout here? I mean, I'd cook something for you, but have you been in your fridge recently? Need a dedicated drawer for takeout menus? He gasps. You can't get takeout here? I mean, I'd cook something for you, but have you been in your fridge recently? Yes, I have. If there was ever an accurate representation of my current life, my fridge is it. Empty with a few dirt marks and crumbs that will eventually get cleaned up. I point to the small notice board by the fridge. You see the number on that card? That's who you call for takeout. What do they have? Everything. How do you know what's you call for takeout? What do they have? Everything. How do you know what's good? I laugh. Trust me, it's good. He casts me a sideways look, holding the small card with the handwritten number. Call the number, I say. They don't bite. Give me a pastrami sandwich on rye and a portion of their house special fries. I stare at Seymour as he takes his phone out to place the order, flicking the corner of the card with the tip of his fingernail. A pang of nostalgia hits me all of a sudden, taking my breath away. He looks at me, but the voice on the phone grabs his attention back. I head to the sink to clean my pan while we wait for the food and before I have to buy yet another pan. I'll never admit this is the second pan I've bought in as many weeks. Cooking was never my strong point. Porter loved cooking, experimenting with food and trying new cuisines. Loved cooking, experimenting with food and trying new cuisines. I hated when he wanted to try out a new restaurant because he'd end up asking to speak to the chef and lose himself in conversation. One time, I snuck out of the restaurant and waited for him at home just to prove a point. I'd give anything to have those moments back now. Sit through every boring conversation about sourcing quality ingredients or cooking techniques. Dude, ordering food was an exercise in self-discipline because the guy on the phone had the deepest, sexiest voice, you know? The kind that can make your toes curl by reading out the grocery list, Seymour says. I shake my head, contemplating telling him that Bob is pushing 70. List, Seymour says. I shake my head, contemplating telling him that Bob is pushing 70. But he does have a point. His daughter-in-law has him working the phone orders because of his radio voice and kind personality. Seymour grabs the stack of reusable takeout boxes. The phone orders because of his radio voice and kind personality. Seymour grabs a stack of reusable takeout boxes from the top of my fridge, giving me a look. They're from the soup kitchen, I explain. The situation is worse than I thought. He shakes his head. What situation? You're eating food from the soup kitchen, man. I let out a tired breath. Don't knock it until you've tried Kathy's food. Seymour stares at me, and there it is. That same expression his brother used to wear whenever he wanted to say something but was waiting for the right time to deliver it most efficiently. My stomach clenches again. No one would ever believe the 6-year gap between the two brothers. If I don't catch myself, my brain might never even start believing it's Porter in front of me.
Stop.
Got it. No one would ever believe the 6-year gap between the two brothers. If I don't catch myself, my brain might even start believing it's Porter in front of me. They look so alike that when Porter died, I couldn't bear to be around Seymour without breaking down. So I moved away. Not that anything would ever happen between Seymour and me. He kissed me once on the day we met, and the adrenaline of performing together skewed his judgment. I would have punched him, but then he introduced me to his brother Porter, and I would have kissed him back if Porter hadn't been so, Porter. Calm, open, captivating. It broke Seymour's heart to lose his brother and have me move away so soon after, but everything was too hard. Not that it's gotten any easier, maybe just a fraction. The sudden need to move or do something comes over me, so I go to the laundry room and put a load of clothes in the washing machine. Seymour seems to have disappeared when I return to the kitchen, but before I call for him, he's back, carrying a suitcase and a takeout bag with our food. He's back, carrying a suitcase and a takeout bag with our food. Dude, you could have told me the takeout place is run by twinks on steroids. I snort. You're telling me that Seymour, the flirty silver fox David, can't take a little flirting anymore? Don't try to make that my nickname again. And I'm not really into precocious teenagers.
Stop. Don't try to make that nickname happen.
Silver fox David can't take a little flirting anymore? Don't try to make that nickname happen. Silver fox David can't take a little flirting anymore? Don't try to make that nickname happen, and I'm not really into precocious teenagers. He gives me the side eye, and I'm too hungry to tease him. Come on, it's a good nickname. He grumbles, and I laugh, feeling a little lighter. Let's eat, because in case of... He grumbles, and I laugh, feeling a little lighter. Let's eat, because in case it wasn't clear when you walked in, my first... Nope. He grumbles, and I laugh, feeling a little lighter. Let's eat, because in case it wasn't clear when you walked in, my first dinner was a disaster, and you still need to tell me what you're doing here. Since we're both eating sandwiches, I grab 2 beers from the stash he brought with him and head over to the living room, turning the TV onto a random show about home decoration gone wrong, with the sound all the way down. You still watch these shows? Seymour asks. They're great, although I'll admit that the constant wow and oh my goodness can get a little tiring, But that's only why I watch the constant wow and oh my goodness can get a little tiring, but that's not why I watch the show. I take a bite of my sandwich, which is perfect as always. Hella, the chef, is Julius's half-sister. While he never left, as always, Hella, the chef, is Julius's half-sister. While he never left Stillwater and runs his coffee shop, Bittersweet, on Main Street, she did a culinary tour of the world and is now bringing the people of Stillwater the best and most varied takeout menu on the East Coast. Why do you watch it? Seymour asks. I pause, unsure if I should tell the truth, even though if anyone would Host. Why do you watch it? Seymour asks. I pause, unsure if I should tell the truth, even though if anyone would understand, it's Seymour. After all, he walked in wearing his brother's winter coat. It was his favorite show. I put my sandwich down on the plate. The few bites I've taken feel heavy on my stomach. Seymour takes my hand. His is soft, with long fingers and perfect nails, just like Porter's. It's been 4 years, Ty. Have you stopped missing him? He smiles. I will never stop missing him, but I also know... He smiles. I will never stop missing him, but I also know he would have wanted me, us, to get on with our lives. He was clear about that. Can you tell me you moved out of the tiny box you two used to rent when you followed him to college? Seymour goes quiet. He has money, plenty of it. His family, while incredibly down-to-earth, is also very wealthy. When Porter went to college, his parents cut his allowance and made him get a job. They did the same to Seymour. Like every other student, they appreciated the value of cheap beer, spending nights talking shit with friends, and studying for exams fueled by coffee and determination to succeed. Even though Porter had already graduated, Seymour followed in the steps of his big brother. They appreciated the small things in life, and more than most people, they understood the importance of making your own way. And more than most people, they understood the importance of making your own way. He could live in a 10-bedroom mansion instead of the 2-bedroom closet he lives in, but the brothers became so attached to their tiny apartment that Porter didn't move out until we got married. Seymour still lives there, in Royal Oaks, a few miles away from Port Haven. I always wondered how our paths never crossed growing up, and if my life would have been different if it had. It's complicated, Ty. Never crossed growing up, and if my life would have been different if it had. It's complicated, Ty, he says. It's not complicated. You can't tell me to move on if you're not ready to do it too. Ty, he says. It's not complicated. You can't tell me to move on if you're not ready to do it too. He takes a bite of his sandwich and steals a couple of fries. Daisy sent me. I stop with the sandwich halfway to my mouth. Because I'm not taking her calls? Not just that. But since you mention, why aren't you taking her calls? I sigh. Because she doesn't want me to write songs for the next big boy band or solo artist. Big boy band, not big boy band. Aren't you taking her calls? Then, why aren't you taking her calls? I sigh. Because she doesn't want me to write songs for the next big boy band or solo artist. She wants me to record. And you prefer to make someone else into the next big musical star because of taking credit for the amazing talent you have for a song instead. Boy band or solo artist. She wants me to record. And you prefer to make someone else into the next big musical star instead of taking credit for the amazing talent you have for songwriting. I know what he's trying to say. I've been hearing it for years, first from my dad and then from my husband. It's no secret my agent has always pushed me to perform my own music. but Porter knew why I couldn't. You should be the one up there, baby. That's your song. Let's be Porter. Nothing for him yet.
He's been dead for 4 years, so...
So he never had a voice.
Right.
Porter. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act as a prism and form an ever-loving rainbow. It's no secret my agent has always pushed me to perform my own music. It's no secret my agent has always pushed me to perform my own music. But Porter knew why I couldn't. You should be the one up there, baby. That's your song, that's your award. Porter would say every time any awards ceremony was on TV, and one of my songs was nominated. He didn't like my reasoning, but he understood. Gnats. We've got little small gnats. He didn't like my reasoning, but he understood. Seymour knows it too, but he's less understanding. You know why, I say. I know. Well, if you're set on it, you can tell Daisy you're not interested in recording. You've made her a very wealthy agent by writing for other people. Why change now, right? I sit back on the couch. The truth is, I could talk to Daisy. She won't question my decision, whichever way I go. But the other thing I'll never admit to anyone is that now, without Porter in my life, the thought of saying I don't want to perform my own songs scares me as much as the thought of saying yes. Perform my own songs scares me as much as the thought of saying yes. Performing is what I've always wanted to do, until I was forced to replace it with new dreams, such as making the most of the short time I had with my dad. Anyway, why the suitcase? I ask. Because when Daisy told me you weren't taking her calls, I decided the one thing you need in your life to get you out of your funky funk wasn't with you. What's that? Me. Oh, great. And for how long will I have to endure your charming personality? Only until you get your head out of your ass, so that's when I look into your... For how long will I have to endure your charming personality? Only until you get your head out of your ass, so that when I look into your eyes, I see my best friend again. My throat tightens. All the turns my life has taken, all the pain and loss, Seymour has been there for most of it. He was the hard, heavy rock that grounded me when his brother died, even as he was hurting. He was the hard, heavy rock that grounded me when his brother died, even as he was hurting for his own loss. Maybe sharing my space with someone else again, even if for a short time, won't be so bad.